Alpha is the new survival story that tells the tale of the first man/dog relationship, or in this case, man/wolf relationship. And this was a movie that was assigned to me from Dennis to review by myself because I lost the Oscars bet. So this was the movie he chose for me to go see. And he even said right off the bat, I don't want you to go see a really bad movie. I want you to go see a really generic movie. And from the trailers, I got the impression that this was going to be a very generic movie, and to my surprise, it wasn't, actually. So I'm going to go into a few of the things that I didn't care for all that much with this movie, and then I'm going to go into the things that I enjoyed, surprisingly. So one thing that worried me right off the bat is that it is a very slow start. And it also is kind of a jumbled start. They show you the situation that happens right off the bat that gets the plot moving, and then it says 1 week earlier. And then you have to go back and you have to get to know these characters. Now, this takes place 20,000 years ago in the Europe general area. You meet this tribe, and luckily they speak a different language and everything, and the tribe was fairly believable. One thing that was really believable about this movie is that the setting, just the land itself, it does look very barren. It looks like there's not a lot of people whatsoever yet, and a lot of different creatures and animals and things like that. So I did buy into the sense of place that this movie offered. As for the costume design and maybe some of the CGI choices, I did not so much buy into it, but I just don't know how to gauge those types of things. I don't know how to gauge what clothing would look like 20,000 years ago. And I think they did the best they could, but at the same time, I'm like, that stitching looks really professional. It looks really costume-esque, but you know, I got over it. I was like, this is a Hollywood movie. It is what it is. So after the situation happens, it takes a little bit of a while for him to meet the dog, but through a circumstance and an interaction with this, he injures this wolf, and then they're stuck together, and he starts caring for it, and a relationship starts forming. And honestly, when that started happening, I started to buy into this. This was kind of it was a generic tale, but it was done well. And I believed the relationship between this man and this wolf, and all the things they had to overcome. Another, maybe a flaw, I don't know, is that both this wolf and this man heal very fast. They go through so much shit together and so many injuries, and you never really know how much time this is taking place in, so you don't really know how much time they had to heal. Once they start working together and once they start figuring each other out, I think this movie really, really shines. Another thing that this movie is quite beautiful. This is actually a really well shot movie, and actually a very well paced movie once it gets going. The transitions that this director uses is really cool. And some just gorgeous cinematography. Like I said, some of the CGI is spotty, but not that bad. It didn't take me out of the experience or anything like that. There are some tropes in there that maybe it's to make the audience smile. This is a movie for dog lovers, and I do love dogs. But there are like times when he gets in a tug-of-war situation where they're first getting to know each other. He wants something, and then they play tug-of-war. There's a point where he gets mad at him and throws a stick, and the dog goes and gets it and brings it back to him. There's just things where it's like, oh, that was the first time he played tug-of-war. That was the first time they played fetch. There's a lot of times where there's lots of danger happening, and the dog gets injured, and I felt for the dog. I felt for the kid, too. The main character, I didn't really like him at first. He's kind of a coward, and he's kind of unsure of himself, but I guess that's how he is supposed to start. And in the end, he is a survivor, and he does learn how to fend for himself. So he does change through this arc, and he does grow alongside this dog, where they just paced it out really nicely how the trust was formed between the dog and the man. You know, it takes a little while, but it's fun to watch them get along with each other. The movie does wrap up in a nice little package, and that's okay as well. This is a pretty breezy movie at about 1 hour and 36 minutes, so it sort of goes right by. It's just, for me, I didn't need the whole beginning. I almost, these people speak very few words. It's the earlier times of man, so they don't speak very much. So there's not really much character development that you need out of these people. You can see that they're survivors. You can see that it takes courage to survive in the wilderness, and it takes just a little too long to get to that spot. But once it does, this movie was enjoyable. I really liked it. I'm surprised, actually, because I thought it was just going to be god-awful.
Buffs.
Alright, so I was assigned to go see this movie. I went and saw it really with my head hanging low. I was like, alright, Nate, let's just get this over with. And I left that movie pleasantly surprised of what they've achieved. It's really great cinematography. It's a really great relationship between man and a wolf, and you really believe it to a certain extent. I mean, I think that, yes, historically it's completely inaccurate, but whatever. Movie, and I really bought the danger that they went through and the way they grew together, and the ending sort of gives you the warm feels. So I'm surprisingly going to say see it. Yeah, there you have it, Dennis. I actually really enjoyed Alpha, and I think that if you would have seen this movie, you probably would have enjoyed it too. It's easy to try to find things wrong with movies like this, but surprisingly, there are problems with it, but I think that especially families and children can really go into this movie and probably leave feeling pretty happy about it.
Buffs.
Alright guys, so that's my review of Alpha. Have you guys seen the movie? Are you planning on seeing the movie? What do you think about, the relationship between man and dogs in general? Leave all your comments down below. And next week, Dennis and I will be back together reviewing The Happy Time Murders, which he's really looking forward to it. I think it looks hilarious, so we'll bring you that review next week. But until then, wherever you are, whoever you're with, watch more movies.